My name's Don.
And I'm Peter.
And we are two plebs talking about... California.
This week in the DPRC.
That it is. So, one of our somewhat favorite topics around here is housing prices.
Yeah, how they're horrible and there's shortages because they won't allow new construction.
Yeah, and, how they keep doing things that increase the cost of houses.
Yeah, for the ones that do get made.
Just generally speaking, why it's... we had that house that was, what was it, $750,000 and it was halfway burnt down.
Yeah.
So
you have to demo the house because it was not usable whatsoever.
Right.
But yeah, it's still like I thought it was still $700,000.
Yeah, well, $750,000.
Yeah.
So, go California, right?
Right.
Well, we have decided, in our infinite wisdom, the houses here are not expensive enough.
Yeah.
And so, all new houses, with a couple of carved out exceptions that are almost sensical, are required to have solar panels from this point forward.
No, 2020.
Well,
2020 is when it's implemented.
Pretty well from this point forward.
So people who are making houses right now and about to over the next year or so, you're good. Right. As soon as 2020 hits, you better have Solar City on speed dial.
Right. Well, look, and yeah, pretty much. But the reality is that we're going to have a lot more solar panel installers, is all I'm saying, because as soon as you mandate it on houses, then there is a guaranteed business, which is not a good thing.
No.
But, hey,
they're just making jobs.
and raising the cost of your house by about $25,000.
But over the lifetime of the panels, you'll save about 50 to 60.
Right. So if you buy a house and stay in it until you're dead...
25 years.
Yeah.
Till you're the proposed dead. Lifespan of panels before you have to buy them all over again.
Right. And then you got to live there another 25 years.
Right.
So, over the course of that time, you may save $75,000 in an economy, a house economy, where no one does that.
Right. In a house economy where no one does that, and once we have, such a multitude of homes using solar, therefore not pulling off of the electric grid.
Yeah.
That means the electric companies are going to start raising their rates, and the people who don't have solar will be paying more. The people who do have solar will be paying as much as the other people used to.
Yeah. Basically, right? Because, look, so they say it's going to increase the cost of your house by $25,000, $30,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here is the problem. If you buy a house for $200,000, you end up paying something like $600,000 for it if you finance it on a 30-year loan.
Right.
The numbers change depending on... That might be a 15-year loan, but it doesn't matter.
Interest and time. It changes.
Right. So that $25,000 is going to be... What is that? About 3 times that? $75,000.
Yes.
So unless you buy your house cash, you are guaranteed to lose money on this.
Yeah. Man, finances. People need to actually look into those.
That will never happen. This is California. We don't do that here.
It's only $25,000. You fuckers don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. But, hey, far be it for me to just...
Don't poo-poo on our numbers that point out you'll be paying more
right.
as opposed to less.
Put a little bit of reality there. But the other problem is, right, that even the other opponents of this that have spoken out against it go, well, look, here's the problem with this, right? California uses something like 60 or 70% of the power it uses between 5 and 9 p.m.
Yeah.
At least in homes, right? Because businesses use the vast majority of power that they use between 9 and 5 p.m. Now, I know that this would have been impossible to foresee. Mm-hmm. But for your home electric bill, the infinitely vast majority happens after people get off work.
Yes.
Well,
peak hours.
Solar panels, notoriously, do not have the power output to keep up with that.
No.
So you're still going to be pulling off the grid during that time.
Well, don't forget that there's already laws in place so that you can only produce, at maximum, I believe, 30 to 40% of what you annually use.
Yeah.
So no matter whatever solar system you have in place, even if it was like high fucking noon, could not keep up with the amount of power you're pulling in.
That's right.
You're not allowed to.
Well, so there's ways around that, right? And what we have done for all the hippies in this state is they built giant battery banks.
Yes.
Which is why a couple of years ago they started going after those. But, you build this giant battery bank in your backyard, so your house collects power all day long, and then you get home and you start pulling off the battery bank.
Yes.
Right?
And that's why Tesla's in every Home Depot right now.
Yeah, pretty much. But look.
Buy our batteries.
Right. Look, there's no two ways about this. This is going to cost money.
Yeah.
Period. And, not a little bit of it. And this idea that they have that if we mandate, because this is in the article, this is not a joke, if we mandate that solar panels go on every home, that will reduce the cost of solar panels. Right?
No.
I'm not kidding. It's in the article.
Then someone didn't take economics.
No Econ 101 for them, huh?
Apparently. Because when you increase the demand, and if the supply cannot keep up with said demand, the prices increase to help stem off the demand.
Right. That's how this works. But, hey,
so
the most simplistic understanding of supply and demand is way too far outside of the capabilities of the state of California.
Apparently.
Because they are thoroughly convinced we're going to create all this demand, and then price will go down. Right? Now I get...
Because apparently the solar companies had already predicted that this was eventually going to happen and have giant stockpiles that they need to move.
Right, which is why the price is already down, right?
Right.
No. Because if you're sitting on a giant stockpile like that, you reduce the price of it because storing it costs money. So even if you're taking a net loss because demand has gone down and you have this giant stockpile, it's cheaper to take a net loss on, whatever it costs you to produce it than to store it forever.
Right, which is why we now have on-demand productions for people who do production type work. In other words, most businesses have already taken up the model of we don't make it until you ask for it.
That depends on what you're talking about. And solar panels are certainly not one of them, right? But keep in mind that 3 or 4 years ago, we put like a 40% tax on Chinese solar panels.
Oh.
Because China was rolling out solar panels for like pennies. And the American solar panel manufacturers couldn't keep up because mostly we have labor laws which make it too expensive.
Right.
So we taxed them to equal effectively what American solar panels cost. So the price of solar panels is not going down.
Nope.
Not in any substantial way. And this hope that the Henry Ford of solar panels will miraculously appear tomorrow is bullshit because we've been subsidizing from the government solar panels for
a while.
5 years now?
And apparently the Henry Ford solar panels is in China.
Yeah.
And they put the cock block on that.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, Trump is drying up these subsidies. The cost of those panels is going to go up. The likelihood that you're going to sell them is going to go down. This is probably, you're going to be guaranteed to be able to sell them in California. But everywhere else, the likelihood that you're going to be able to sell them is going to go down.
Yep.
So this is only going to increase the cost of these panels, right? Because we're still at a time where there are enough solar panel, the market prices are waving up and down, but slowly trending up-ish, right?
Right.
And so, look, as soon as they mandate, the day this goes into effect, solar panels are going to, mild price increase, and then they're just going to go like this. Right. That's what's going to happen.
Well, California can afford it. After all, we recently got upgraded to the 5th largest economy in the world.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Buddy. So,
but the news told me so.
I believe it. You know what's interesting about that? And I have no evidence of this, truth be told, but Hollywood had something like 6 amazing openings, right?
Yeah.
And we went to the 5th largest economy.
Right. Because, the Avengers did it, obviously.
Well, not just the Avengers, right? whatever the hell, the Black Panther right before that. The Star Wars thing had a great opening.
Yeah.
Just on and on. And you're talking about billions upon billions of dollars. Well, that is enough to move where you are in an economy space when you're pretty close to somebody else.
Right.
Now, since the corporate headquarters of all of those are, the vast majority, are in Southern California.
Yep.
Anybody want to bet California is counting those dollar amounts and going, yeah, see?
Yeah. Because, in the first 2 weeks, the Avengers pulled in $1 billion on its own.
You got it, right?
So it's like, son of a bitch, it's a lot of money.
And as long as what they're doing is tacking it onto the California total, then, big surprise we moved.
Right.
But is that continual, predictable economy? Nope. Furthermore, California has its own inflation problem, right? Things cost more here. The dollar is worth not so much.
Right.
Us having a greater economy than England by raw dollar comparison is not a good comparison.
Yep.
I mean, it's as good as we got.
Right.
But the problem is that you could not buy with California dollars even the equivalent of British pounds, right? So it's $3 a pound or something, $2.50, somewhere in there. But what you could buy with £1 is not what you could buy with $2.50 here.
No.
So, just saying. But anyway, to get away from the ridiculous economic talk that we are very wont to get bogged down in around here because I'm a dork.
Yeah.
We have also you can't make this up. We also have decided that this spike in STDs thing that's going around in Los Angeles right now is because of racism.
Yep. So, people are wondering, apparently, down south in California, LA, the cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis are going through the roof.
Yeah.
And when you look at the numbers, it's mostly minorities.
Okay. And
because we need to teach our kids, about sex. Apparently.
What's most interesting about this is...
but apparently not the white kids, because it's just the minorities that are getting this.
What's most interesting about this, though,
yeah,
is this only gets pointed out by people who are about 80 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Sex ed will solve the STD problem. Implement sex ed. Have giant STD crisis. Add more sex ed. Have more STD problems. I'm just saying.
Well, how are we getting more problems when they put a fix in?
Well, if you pour gasoline on a fire, you did put in a fix.
Right. Well, but that's the question: is how is teaching children about sex and how things should go and shouldn't go cause more of a problem?
So the premise here from those that are socially conservative is when you keep it something that people don't talk about, it still happens, right? No one's saying that it doesn't. Or, preferably it doesn't, but in the world of teenage sex. But people aren't out there like, oh, well, so, anal, right?
No, I think the issue is that people are a little confused as to what they thought they were going to get out of sex education.
Who was confused? The people who wrote it?
Yeah. Or the people that asked for it. Because what it is they've asked, they now know about sex.
Mm-hmm.
They know the ins and the outs, STDs, how to use a condom, and other contraceptives. What you were hoping was going to happen was an installation of morals. So they would say, well, just keep your legs closed because abstinence is the best way. That shit ain't going to happen.
So
that's a parent's job to instill morals.
You can only have that view if you grew up about the time we did, right? And this is why I say this is a thing that only gets brought up by people who are about 80. Because we lived through Clinton and Bush, right? Who both toyed around a decent amount with sex ed.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bush coming in and going abstinence-only education was an attempt to put a Band-Aid on a problem that had been around for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, you only at the tail end can you come to that conclusion.
Right.
If you go back to the beginning... that was not what was happening. The people who were the people who were suggesting this were part of the sexual revolution, motherfuckers, right?
Right.
Who were like, everybody needs to be able to fuck all the time and nothing bad will happen. Maybe we should tell people to use condoms because STDs are bad.
I mean, something bad is happening.
Well, look, other than that, though.
Right. And I'm also surprised in the article they didn't make this like a giant boost to refund Planned Parenthood. You know, the only organization that I know that comes to mind that actually handed out free contraception to anyone who came up and asked for it.
No, there are lots. They're just the biggest one.
Right.
So,
like I said that I know of.
Well, and look, again, we've made all these arguments throughout time, and it just doesn't work out this way. Now, I know that makes me a scientific, and yet the stats remain on my side.
Right.
Well, okay. If me going, well, here's the stats, and you going, but no, makes me a scientific, then all right, do your thing.
No, we're relying on the stats and studies that say it's not going like they said it was going to go.
Well, you know, I'm just wrong, right? Now,
right.
Look, I haven't advocated for anything here. I've just said this is a thing.
Right.
Which is usually a problem. The moment I say this is a thing, I get told I'm a horrible person.
Right.
So, anyway, let's get back to our racism, though, because that's the best part of
I know,
this.
yeah, the fact that it's all racist. Because, you know, the STDs are disproportionately targeting minorities.
Yeah, I went to an AIDS conference a little while ago.
And gay minorities.
Yeah, well, I went to an AIDS conference a little while ago. And by that, I don't mean I went to a conference on AIDS. I mean, the AIDS were there.
Right.
They were all having a big conference, and they were like, we're going to get the black faggots. And they all had on their little AIDS clan hoods.
Right.
And, yeah, that's what happened.
Right.
Right?
According to the report, it's syphilis they're getting, not AIDS.
Sure.
Syphilis.
Well, you know, AIDS is the clan. There are other sub, you know, STDs.
So they're the STD nationalists?
Yeah, they're the white STD nationalists. So that's definitely gonorrhea.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so gonorrhea had all their little swazies on, and they were like, get the gay faggots. Right? Because this is effectively what they're saying.
Right. They're effectively saying it's happening because of racism.
I mean...
like, what was the other one's like? Oh, and, you know, because a lot of minority women who have a lack of opportunity are turning to offering sex for resources.
Which, by the way, is going on at the same time that the Contra Costa County DA is saying we should decriminalize prostitution. Yeah, I don't know, do my hands either.
Right.
What? I mean, come on. You can't even make this up, man. Like, this is way too intricately stupid for me to have come up with it. And,
you know?
Look, I
so
like to
far,
think...
as far as I'm aware, there's only one state in the U.S. that says, by the way, as far as we're concerned, we need to stop criminalizing fucking.
No. There's lots.
There are?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on who you're talking about and what you're talking about, but still.
The only place I know where prostitution is allowed is in Nevada.
Yeah, well... Yeah. But anyway, that's a different thing. Look, hold on now. Before we get by far too distracted. Keep in mind, by the way, that this really is we are blaming STDs for targeting people. Now, I know what I'm about to say is horrendously unpopular, and it's going to stay that way forever because facts are terrible things, and they're all racist. However, if you have a community that is built up around drink, fight, fuck, effectively, right? You know, the Irish, as it were, who, by the way, had a lot of their own STD problems when there were things like the Bloody Fifth, because they were, in fact, built up around things like drink, fight, fuck. Well, then, look, they're going to have problems related to that lifestyle, as it were. And we did the Houston gay Tumblr thing, right? It's been a little while now, but, like, turns out Houston has had this just explosion of STDs because gay people are just fucking like bunnies. And somebody in there had AIDS, so that's it.
Right.
Well, look, gonorrhea doesn't, like, attack you in the middle of the night.
No.
You You have sex with someone.
Yes.
And then you get it. Which may or may not happen in the middle of the night. And if it was rape, it still wasn't gonorrhea that did it. It was the guy, or the girl, or whatever.
The rapist.
Right?
Rapist.
Sure.
Which statistically is men.
We are so doing a different show on that.
Okay.
But anyway, look, so the premise that this is racist, what even could make this true, right? What are we talking? The Klan is raping black women when they have gonorrhea?
No.
Or maybe black men?
No, I think the prostitute stab was it.
So
you have prostitutes, since they didn't want to call them that,
sure,
or sex workers, or whatever you want to call them,
hookers,
who happen to be of a minority origin,
right?
Getting STDs and then spreading out to the rest of the population who purchase their services,
which could only be a problem if.
But it's only happening because they have a lack of opportunity.
In Los Angeles.
One
of the most progressive cities in the country.
Because racism targets them that forces them to sell their bodies for money.
Sure.
Is the whole reason why STDs are blowing up. This
guy racism is a real dick. Because clearly, it's a guy, first of all. There's no way they're saying it's a woman.
No.
But racism is like... Can we just call racism Satan now? Is that good enough? Like he is the bringer of lies or whatever the hell, right? I mean, what the hell? For this abstract idea to actually have some sort of movable force on the earth, it's got to have its own person somewhere, right?
Right.
Because seriously, none of this makes any sense if you talk about it without a progressive douchebag for, I'll go big and say 5 seconds. Right?
Right.
But look, even then, the best part of this is they cite these statistics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do we know about ethnic communities given their own choices?
They usually stick together.
Yeah, they homogenize, right?
Yeah.
So you get the black neighborhood, the Mexican neighborhood, the white neighborhood. That's the way that it works. Mm-hmm. And they develop their own community relative to each one.
Right.
Where they mostly talk to each other and no one else.
Right. Unless they hit the grocery store.
Look, this is the kind of thing that keeps moving people into the alt-right. Mm-hmm. Right? Because, so what you're telling me is that black people who normally hang around black people and don't really like white people and are homogenized into their own group give each other STDs all the time.
Right.
But you're going to blame racism.
Right.
Look, seriously, this is how it happens.
Right. No, but they're going to say, well, it's due to a lack of opportunity because the white people aren't letting the minorities have access to good quality jobs.
So...
or good quality education because their schools are crap.
So LA has Jim Crow laws?
Apparently. Because obviously all the money goes to the white schools.
Do they paint them white too?
Probably. Obviously they do, because it's to reflect the heat.
And that's the end of our show for the day.
That's right. It's taco time.
However, before we go, we'd appreciate it if you shared us around.
You can find us on YouTube,
BitChute,
Facebook,
Twitter,
Patreon,
and Maker Support.
Thanks for stopping by.